Some homes drain you so slowly, you do not even notice it happening. You walk in, drop your keys, step over yesterday, glance at 3 unfinished chores, and tell yourself you will sort it out later. But later has a strange habit of becoming your whole life. And that is the part most people miss. A home does not only hold your stuff, it trains your mind, quietly, daily, without asking permission. That is why some Japanese habits at home are worth paying attention to. Not because Japan is magical, not because every Japanese home is perfect, but because many of these habits were shaped by something modern life keeps trying to ignore. Small spaces, shared living, limited time, and a deep respect for what repeated actions do to the human nervous system. Most people think better living starts with a huge reset, a new apartment, a fancy sofa, a weekend of intense cleaning. But often it starts with a line on the floor, a pair of shoes left in the right place, a window opened for 10 minutes, a room that says, very quietly, you can breathe here. And once you see that, your home stops being background. It becomes either a source of friction or a source of recovery. The first habit is simple, but it changes the tone of everything. In many Japanese homes, the entrance is not just an entrance. It is a boundary. You leave your shoes at the genkan, that small transition space between outside and inside. On the surface, it is about dirt, but underneath, it does something more interesting. It tells your brain that the outside world does not get full access to the inside one. Stress, noise, speed, mess, all of it is asked to pause at the door. Most people carry the street straight into the living room, not only on their shoes, in their body, in their pace, in the way they fling their bag down and keep moving like they are still being chased by the day. But a boundary changes behavior. You step in differently. You slow down. You become aware. And if you want one small upgrade that makes your home feel cleaner, calmer, and more intentional almost immediately, start there. Create a real threshold. Take off your shoes. Put them in one place. Enter like you mean to arrive. The second habit sounds almost too small to matter, which is usually a sign that it matters a lot. Many Japanese homes use indoor slippers, sometimes even different slippers for different zones. That might sound a bit fussy if you did not grow up with it. But look closer. It is a system of micro-awareness. Bathroom space is treated differently from sleeping space. The kitchen is not mentally collapsed into the rest of the house. Each area has its own role. And that is where many homes lose their grip. Everything becomes everything. The bed becomes an office. The kitchen counter becomes storage. The sofa becomes a wardrobe. The result is not just clutter. It is mental blur. When every room does every job, your brain never fully switches mode. But when a space has a clear use, your mind settles faster inside it. The third habit is one that people love to praise and almost never copy properly. Daily resetting. Not a heroic deep clean. Not a once-a-month panic session while a podcast tells you to become a new person. Just small maintenance, done often. In many Japanese homes, tidying is not saved for disaster. It is part of the rhythm of ordinary life. That matters because mess does not usually arrive like a storm. It arrives like dust, quietly, bit by bit. One cup, one receipt, one shirt on a chair. And then one day you look around and your home feels slightly accusing. That low-grade visual noise wears people down. It steals energy before the day has even started. A 10-minute reset changes the emotional weather of a home. Dishes cleared, cushions straightened, surfaces wiped, floor visible. Nothing dramatic, but the message is powerful. The day is closed. Tomorrow is not being forced to start inside today's leftovers. The fourth habit is harder because it attacks a belief many people are emotionally attached to. In a lot of Japanese homes, especially smaller ones, empty space is treated as useful space, not wasted space. Useful. That is a completely different philosophy from the one many people live by, where every shelf must be filled, every corner decorated, every flat surface assigned 3 objects and a candle. But there is a cost to visual crowding. Even when things are neat, too much stuff keeps making tiny demands on your attention. Look at me, move me, dust me, Organize me. Justify why you bought me. The room starts behaving like a to-do list. Empty space does the opposite. It gives the eye somewhere to rest. It lowers decision fatigue. It makes cleaning easier. And maybe most importantly, it leaves room for life to happen without every moment feeling cramped. You do not need to turn your place into a minimal showroom, but you do need to stop treating every blank patch as a problem that needs to be solved with shopping. The fifth habit is about giving things a home before they become household gossip. In many well-run homes in Japan, objects have a place. A proper place. Not a rough area. Not a vague category. A real place. Mail goes here. Bags go there. Chargers live in that drawer. Guest items go in this basket. This sounds boring until you notice how much domestic tension comes from searching. Where are the keys? Who moved the tape? Why is the remote in the bedroom? People think clutter is about laziness. A lot of the time it is about homelessness. The object has no assigned landing spot, so it just floats from surface to surface until it becomes everyone's problem. A home runs better when each object has a final address, not because it looks impressive, because it removes dozens of tiny negotiations. The brain loves closure. So does the household. The sixth habit is one people in damp, overheated, sealed-up modern homes really need to steal. Air the place out. In Japan, especially with changing seasons and smaller living spaces, ventilation matters. Windows get opened. Bedding gets aired. Moisture is taken seriously. That sounds practical because it is, but it is also emotional. Stale air does not just sit in a room. It sits in you. A closed home starts to feel flat, heavy, and vaguely tired. You can have expensive furniture and still feel low in a room that has not breathed properly in days. Open the windows in the morning, even for a short time. Let the house reset its lungs. If you can safely air out bedding in sunlight, even better. It is one of those habits that feels almost old-fashioned until you notice how alive a room feels afterwards. Fresh air is not a luxury feature. It is maintenance for the human mind. The seventh habit is one the rest of the world often misunderstands completely. The bath is not always treated as a place to get clean fast and get out. In Japan, the cleaning often happens before soaking, and the bath itself becomes something closer to recovery. Warm water. Quiet. A pause that belongs to the body. Now obviously not everyone has a deep tub or time for a long evening ritual. That is not the point. The point is this. Many people only use their home for basic survival. Eat, scroll, sleep, repeat. There is no deliberate transition from tension into rest. The body arrives home, but it never really gets the signal that the thread is over. A proper evening reset, whether that is a bath, a hot shower done slowly, skincare, clean clothes, dim lights, or 10 silent minutes without a screen, tells the nervous system something rare and valuable. You are safe enough to come down now. That message is not soft. It is medicine. The eighth habit is about respect for shared space, and it becomes more powerful the more people live together. In many Japanese households, there is an awareness that your mess leaks into other people's experience. Noise, clutter, poor storage, shoes in the wrong place, wet towels left around. These are not treated as pure self-expression. They are seen for what they are. Friction. That sounds obvious. Yet plenty of adults still behave at home like private chaos is harmless. It is not. Every small act of disorder asks someone else to absorb it later. That is one reason some homes feel peaceful and others feel quietly unfair. One person is creating comfort. Another is consuming it. This is where good home habits become more than aesthetic. They become moral, not in a preachy way, in a practical one, making space livable for the next person, even if that next person is future you, is a form of respect. And respect is what makes a home feel emotionally clean, not just visually clean. The ninth habit is one that people living in permanent visual sameness often forget. Japanese homes tend to adapt with the seasons. Different bedding, different fabrics, a fan moved in, a heater brought close, lightness in summer, warmth in winter. The home changes because life changes. That matters more than it seems. Many people live in rooms that feel emotionally disconnected from the time of year. The result is a strange deadness. Nothing responds. Nothing shifts. The home feels static, even when your life is not. Seasonal adjustment does not have to be expensive. A lighter blanket, a cooler meal, a small branch in a vase, a different scent, a floor mat changed out. Tiny signals like that help the home feel alive instead of frozen. They also pull you back into reality. This is where we are now. This is the season we are living in. That sounds poetic, but it is also grounding. And the 10th habit might be the most important because it ties all the others together. Many good homes in Japan are shaped around preparation, not reaction. Things are arranged so the next action is easy. Futons are folded. Items are stored with use in mind. Spaces are reset after use. Tomorrow is considered before tomorrow arrives. This is the opposite of how many people live. They make every version of themselves clean up after the previous one. Morning you suffers because night you could not be bothered. Weekend you suffers because weekday you kept postponing small decisions. Future you becomes unpaid staff for present you. But a well-kept home is full of kindness from one version of you to another. The glass is washed before bed. The clothes are set out. The bag is ready. The floor is clear. The kitchen does not greet you like a bad mood. That is not perfectionism. That is compassion with structure. And here is the twist in all of this. None of these habits are really about Japan. They are about what happens when a culture takes the ordinary seriously. That is the part people often miss when they copy the surface. They buy the storage boxes. They like the photos. They say they want a calmer home. But what actually changes a space is not the style. It is the repeated message behind the style. The outside stops here. Everything has a place. The day should close properly. Rest deserves preparation. Shared space deserves respect. Small actions shape atmosphere. That is why these habits work. They do not depend on money, square footage, or perfect taste. They depend on attention. And attention is one of the few things that can change a life without making any noise while it does it. If your home feels off lately, the answer might not be dramatic. It might not be that you need a bigger place, a full makeover, or some new identity built out of purchases. It might be that your home has stopped giving anything back. It takes, but it does not restore. It holds your body, but not your peace. That can be fixed, not all at once. Not with a weekend fantasy that collapses by Tuesday, but with one better threshold, one cleared surface, one open window, one object returned to where it belongs, one evening routine that tells your body the day is over. Because a peaceful home is rarely built by one big decision. It is built by 100 quiet ones. And the strange thing is, once those quiet choices start repeating, you do not just live in the home differently. You live in yourself differently too. That is when a room stops being just a room. It becomes a place that helps you come back to your own life.